My hat! Hello and welcome back. So now we are continuing our build. We're on page 10, so you're going to need the springs, all 4 of them. Now one thing with the springs, I like to grab them and just compress them before I install them. So I'm going to do that to all of them. Alright, so you're going to need the springs. Now parts trees, you're going to need these large ones here because this is where your dampening parts are going to be. So you are going to be trimming these here. And these right over here, they look like the M's from Mopar. Those there. And then you're going to need these other cylinders. Right, so we have the 2 cylinders that. All right. We will eventually need this arm for that, so I'm going to ignore it for now. We're going to need these little top parts. And let's see, these collars. And yes, you can use your little snips and do that. Let's see, let's just make sure. So we've got those. The bodies, the little M's, this here, the spring, and then those long components. So we are set. That is one side. And we're going to go ahead and take these arms out because we're going to need them for this step over here. And then grab the other parts tree, and you're going to be trimming the same components. I'm going to place them on this other side. All right, here we go. So we have our parts there, these arms. And now, what you're going to need is you're going to have to grab one of these cylinders here. And you're going to grab one of these little caps. And this here, notice the hole and that little cutout. So there's a little cutout there. That's where the hole goes. So you need to orient that there. At this point, you're going to take this little M piece, and this is going to hold it together. So that little piece goes inside of this hole, and then it just clips onto the body down here, and that's going to prevent this from coming off. And here we go. So again, it's that, not the square portion. The square portion, see that little square? That goes toward the back. So you want the circle. And then this is just going to clip on. And that is it. It's then snap on. And that's it. So we have one. Once you do that, then you need this little round bushing. That's going to go there. And then you're going to use a spring. Spring's going to go in here. And these are just mechanical dampeners. There's no oil in them. Now you're going to grab this, and this, if you look inside, there's those little tabs. You can't really tell, but those are going to go in here. If you look inside, so it's going to go, well, I guess you could also feel. So if you do this and just kind of spin it, it'll eventually drop, and that is it. And once it's in there, you're going to twist and turn, and it will not come out. So again, there we go. You're going to just seat this, see how it goes in, and then once it's in, you're just going to turn. You're going to feel it skip, kind of a little jump, and it is now seated properly. I am going to go ahead and trim those at the end. Let me just assemble them all. So again, the hole goes there. This goes in there. Make sure it clips on properly. Then you need the bushing, spring, and then the bottom portion seats, twist. That's it. So let's go ahead and repeat the process. One thing to also note about these is notice this flat little area. See, the grooves do not continue. This goes toward the bottom. The grooves should go toward the top. Forgot the bushing. All right, so use the bushing, spring. Bottom part goes in, twist, and we're set. All right, this again. Hole goes in here. Grab this. Remember that little flat part where it doesn't have any grooves? That's going to go toward the bottom. Then the grooves go toward the top. All right. Then this goes here. Oops. Don't forget the bushing. Bushing, spring. And that goes there. Now I get to trim all of these parts off. All right, so I've trimmed what I needed to trim. So again, the springs, just make sure that when you put that in, you twist, and then you're gonna hear it kind of, or feel it kind of jump or skip, and then it's gonna be locked in place. The other thing too is this little cap here, just remember that the grooves go up, and then the part without the grooves, that goes toward the bottom. Let's see if you can see. So, see, this is the flat side. There's no grooves, and then these grooves actually go all the way to the top. They line up with the grooves on the other two components. But anyway, dampeners are ready to go. So that's 4 dampeners. And now we're going to need to open this bag here. And this bag is the one that has all of these screws. And you will have, so far I have screws left over and pins, so I may be using them later on. I don't know. I will let you know in the last video if I have extra screws. All right, so based on this, we're going to need 8, and it's going to be these black ones. So let's see, that's 3, 5, 7, 8. All right, so we have 8. There's more in the bag, but we have 8. That's what we need here. And then we need 2 of the long ones, and it's these white ones, these silver ones. So we need 2 of these. And then down here, you're going to need 2 more of those same black ones. So 1, 2. Just going to place them there. Now we're going to start affixing the dampeners onto the suspension. So right now we're looking at the rear. And I'm assuming that's the rear because there's no steering there. And we're going to grab 2 dampeners. They're all the same. And it doesn't matter which way. So I'm going to grab one. And I'm just going to place the screw in there. And I'm going to grab my number 2 Phillips once again. And these, I'm going to show you where they go really quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and mount them. So they're going to go down here on this part of the arm. And then you can mount it there or there. It's up to you. I'm going to do the stock setup, and I'm going to mount them on the inner hole. But you can go either one. It just depends on your track conditions. High grip, go low. Low grip, go high. That's pretty much it. Now, I like to tighten everything by hand. It's just I like to feel as I'm doing this. But if you're using power tools, just be careful. When you can use power tools, just kind of get it close and then finish it off by hand. All right, there we go. There's no need to over tighten. Snug is fine on these. And yes, there will be a little bit of play. That's normal. All right. So we'll do this. And these screws, you can use a flathead, but I would not recommend a flathead screwdriver. Flathead screws are one of the worst inventions ever when it comes to screws. And there's a lot of applications where they're still used, and I've always wondered why. There's no need. I mean, between flatheads and Phillips, use Phillips. I prefer Allen screws, but that's a different story. Here we go. All right, that works. Nothing binds. Now we can flip this, and we're going to do the rears. So the rears, again, here and here. Actually, this is the front. I apologize. Right, that's where the steering is. This vehicle steers from the front, so they'll go here, here. And then on the top, stock setup is also, again, on the inside. Again, depends on your track conditions. And again, these just go in snug. All right. No binding. Looks good. All right. Now we have to work on these components here, and these are the components for the steering. So at this point, I'm actually going to leave the chassis there. And for those, you're going to need this parts tree right here with the long pieces, and you're looking at these here. So if you look at this Tamiya, the parts on the right. Again, you can use your snips. All right, now we're going to need the two arms that we had taken off the parts tree. Here we go. And based on this, you're going to need two small bushings that should fit in here, and then two for this other one that fit in there and in there. And those are going to be located on completely different parts trees, which will be these over here, right where you took the hubs off of, and it's going to be these two little round ones here. Now these you will have to file and trim. So let me just go ahead and cut them out. And you really only need a file, so you just file down those little tabs. Don't use a knife, you run a risk of cutting yourself, so don't do that. But you should have all four. And now these, you're going to have one on each side. So one goes here, and then the other bushing goes on the other side. So you're just going to have one here, flip it, the other one goes there. All right. Now, the other thing to note on the orientation, if you look at these and you see these this extra material, that goes toward the bottom based on the drawing. And then there's a high side and a low side. The low side is going to be away from you. So the high side, right, again, you're looking at this. Right, there's a high side, this is the high side, that's the low side. Low side goes away from you on both. And these arms are going to go on the low side, and the arms don't appear to have a they seem to be uniform. So any which way will work. And for these, you will be using the MB2s, which are these darker screws. All right, you're going to grab this. It's going to go again on the low side. You're going to use your driver number 2. Start it off slowly. This is the other reason why I like doing things by hand. There we go. Now we do the other one. And here we go. Perfect. Now, there is one thing to note. We are finished with step 20. There's a note for step 19, and that is the following. It depends if you're running, so if you're running the short chassis versus the long chassis, you may need to run this with the bushings for the lower shocks. So keep that in mind. It just depends on which one you are using. Are you running the short wheelbase or the long wheelbase? Other than that, we are finished with page 10. Thank you so much for watching.